Great. This shows us live on both platforms. And I always like to just double check that it's showing up. Just double check. Awesome. I do see us live. I'm just going to give this about a minute or two to alert our followers.
All right.
Yeah. Great. Well, let's go ahead and get this kicked off. The notification should be popping up here in a minute, but I always like to do some housekeeping, and generally that housekeeping gets into the broadcast time. And I want to make sure that we're able to speak about all things with our business owner that's on with us today. So, with that, I want to reintroduce myself. I am Juliet Abdel. I host this broadcast Mondays and Wednesdays. Mondays are city updates, Wednesdays are opportunities to hear from some of our newer partners, learn more about who is running these businesses or organizations and ways that you can engage with them or maybe get involved along the way. Now, if you haven't already done this, if you are a first time viewer on either our Facebook or YouTube platforms, I hope that you go ahead and like or subscribe our pages. Make sure that you also select the notification tab so that you can get alerted when we post content or go live in the future. And if you're a returning viewer, I want to welcome you back onto our broadcast. Whether you are watching this in the morning, afternoon, or evening, this video is available for you to rewind and rewatch, or kind of pause and come back to us or pick up when we are no longer live. The best way for us to know if you have rewatched it or viewed it later and maybe had a comment or question for us is by giving us a hashtag replay. That allows us to see that particular comment and who has dropped it in the video long after we have gone live. The other item that I wanted to share with you is that if you are viewing this broadcast, then I hope that you hit the share button on this video so others in your network can also see that we are live or we were live and can find out this information themselves and learn more about the resources that are available here locally. And if you are tuned in, you can always engage with us with the comment section by reacting to the video or by dropping questions if you have any that come to mind along the way. And we'll do our best to try and put you in the queue and bring you up and engage with you throughout this video series. So with that, I want to go ahead and introduce our partner that's on here with me. Deek is with Vet Expedition Therapy. And Deek, I am so very excited to have you on here with me.
I am super thrilled to be on here. Thank you so much for having us today.
Of course. Well, thank you, Parker, for getting tuned in and getting us started with some of the comments. So this is a great example of when someone comments, we'll be able to see the photo, their profile picture, their name. So hopefully it's something they like and are proud of, and then the good morning message. So thank you for tuning in with us. Now, Deek, I have had the opportunity of getting to know you. It's been over 5 months now, believe it or not. Time has flown by. And that very first time, it was with you providing information about your organization, all the work that you're doing. And I was just blown away by everything that you're doing and your personal background. So let's go ahead and take a quick second to talk to people about who is Vet Expedition Therapy, what you guys are doing, and why you were formed to begin with.
All right. Well, Veterans Expedition Therapy we're a brand new nonprofit organization. We just launched July 31st of 2022. So we are just getting out there and getting our feet wet. We're a small organization. And I'm one of the founders and executive director of the organization. And
Yeah.
how it came about is honestly, I'm a combat veteran. I've dealt with some issues with PTSD and traumatic brain injury and stuff like that. And I really found um, I was no longer able to work my old job. I
Yeah.
find a new job
Mhm.
just with the PTSD and everything like that, and just having a hard time getting out into the workforce, being able to do all that kind of of things, and I realized that there were other veterans going through the same issues. At the same time, I was getting my degree in outdoor education. I went and used my GI Bill,
Yeah.
and happened to be going through a small business entrepreneurship class that made me
Mhm.
make a fake small business, and so I made Veterans Expedition Therapy, and
Okay.
yeah, and so I started just building it, and I started getting pulled aside by the instructors saying, "Hey, like you've actually got something here. Like you should actually do this." And so I did. I just started going out, getting all the business filings, and started putting it together one piece at a time, just at my own pace, so that I'm not overwhelming myself or anything like that. And yeah, like I said, last July we launched.
Which is so exciting. And not to cut you off, but you've shared so much in such a quick window, and I want to pull that apart if that's okay. And first off, thank you for your service to our country. And it's not uncommon, right? Like the position that you were in is faced by so many, as you were sharing, so many veterans and people out there that were in a similar position. But it's so interesting that you decided, after you got done serving, to go in and study outdoor recreation and things like that. And then it just kind of lined out itself. It's almost like it was a map for you without knowing that you started on this journey.
1,000,000%. I never imagined myself going down this road, and I always heard those people say the universe told me to do this,
Yeah.
and I never really understood what that meant, and
Yeah.
finally I do. I completely.
You're like, I am one of those, right? Like I totally believe that. Whether it's the universe or, I view it as God, right? Like there is something that's higher that is kind of directing you on your ultimate purpose, which is such a beautiful thing because you've got this passion for the work that you're doing. So after you decided to start this up in July and really you approach this from the mindset of doing one thing at a time and slow growth and quality, connections and everything like that. What were some of those programs that you started offering, and how were you able to get that message out, or how are you continuing to get that message out?
Well, so we're starting small. We're just trying to, as a small nonprofit, we're just trying to do about one trip a month. And what we're just trying to do is get veterans out in, well, and the big thing that we're trying to do is we're trying to get veterans and their families out together.
Mm.
One thing I've noticed doing other veteran programs is it's just for the veteran. And don't get me wrong, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But where I personally found is, the healing comes together. The healing is done as a family.
Mhm.
And so what we're doing is we started with a caving trip, and then we had a rock climbing trip, but ended up getting snowed out,
Oh gosh.
Colorado. Uh, but then in February we did a snowmobiling trip, and then we've got a survival skills trip coming up this Saturday. So what we're really trying to do is we're just trying to find whatever it takes to get veterans out into the outdoors,
Mm.
veterans and their families. We're trying to give them a skill that they could learn how to do with their families, give them the tools necessary to be able to do it, so that they can go recreate on their own.
Mhm.
Just want to find what it takes to get the veteran and their family to tick, and really just get them outdoors in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and I think that's so important that you're focused on not just the veteran, but their whole family, right? Because I often talk about this support system that you need, and whether it is your family or whether it's external friends or organizations or someone that feeds that, you need that support block of people that will be there that you can turn to and that continue to encourage you to pursue those, things to better yourself or improve the situation that you're in. So I love that you're doing that piece. And yeah, you can't control Colorado weather, but are the outdoors one? And I know I didn't like practice with you any questions, so these are like all on the fly, which I love because you're so transparent and honest as like having this experience that you've gone through. But are you finding that the outdoors are very, very much therapy for those veterans and helping those traits of PTSD and some of the reactions and triggers that people are facing?
There are so many studies that back up what we're doing, that just getting out into the outdoors releases so many wonderful neurotoxins into your brain, and really, well, and one of the things that we want to do too is we want to like break the chain. If you're having if you're having some really bad stuff going on in your life, we want to get you out, be able to get you away from that, even if it's just for an afternoon. One of the things that we really try to do too when we're out with these veterans is we came up with a suicide prevention acronym called Embrace the Suck. Suck being, stop what you're doing. Well, that was one thing that we found. I'm sorry.
That's catchy.
Well, Embrace the Suck is a term of endearment that we all used when we were over in Iraq and Afghanistan. Whenever something was bad happening back at home, and I mean, you're literally halfway around the world in a war zone and there's nothing you can do about it. So it's embrace the suck, like there's nothing you can do about it. One of the things that I found, like me personally in my mental health journeys and PTSD journeys and everything, is when it comes to mental health, they're starting to do a lot better now. But there was absolutely nothing for the right now. Like you could get help tomorrow, you could get help next week, you could get help a month later. But when it comes to mental health emergencies, there was absolutely nothing for the right now. And so that's why we turned Embrace the Suck into an acronym, because there's not enough acronyms already. But
That's
but
funny.
yeah.
I do like that history behind that. I still am hearing you. I just want to stop the knocking at my door. So continue with me and walk me through after you created this acronym.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like what I said, there was I personally didn't know of anything that was the right now, how to get veterans to understand like these feelings will stop at some point. But yeah, so the suck is S is stop what you're doing, realize that something is going on. U is understand that these are perfectly normal reactions for people who have gone through trauma. Um, you know, just to be way too transparent and tell you way too much. That's why I think that there's a lot of mental health problems, or honestly, never mind, I won't go there. C is change your state.
So intertwined, like, and these are it's hard to separate some of what you're talking about because they're also intertwined together. And it's almost like when you touch on one thing that you're looking to try and support and provide resources for, you can't omit the other things that are playing into that as well.
Absolutely. So yeah, we just wanted to give veterans something to be able to do in the moment, to know that these feelings are going to stop. And as an organization, we want to intervene. We want to take these veterans out into the wilderness, and we want to, number one, show them that there's other veterans going through these same problems. Talk to other veterans and find out what's worked for them. Give them the tools and resources necessary to get out there and really start the healing path. Like the new 988 numbers are great and everything like that, but on the flip side of it, they're not treating the root of the problem. They're waiting until it's an absolute mental health emergency until somebody's actually calling those numbers. It's the equivalent of trying to start putting out a wildfire after it's reached 500,000 acres.
Right. Instead of, finding that trigger when it's happening and trying to put a stop or abate it so that way it doesn't manifest into something way bigger.
That's exactly it right there. And so we're just trying to get veterans out, try to give them the resources that they need and show them that there's other vets going through this, so that it doesn't turn into a wildfire, so that it doesn't get out of control.
Yeah, I think that's so important. And it touches on so many layers of things. And before, I don't want to get too far into the weeds after we talked about being outdoors, but I do want to introduce you yourself first to people and kind of touch a little bit about, you shared with us that you've served before. Are you a Colorado native or are you a transplant here?
I am a Colorado native, born and raised in Glenwood Springs. So
okay.
Yeah, actually, the only time I've stayed away from the state was my 10 years in the Army. So,
Oh my gosh. And what got you, so what was one of those things that helped you when you first got back, right? Like after, and I guess I should have like prefaced this, right? But so you wanted to pursue a degree and then you went the route of service, or how did that come about? Or was it kind of the opposite? You served and then you were like, let me go ahead and go back in and study a little bit.
no, just to tell you way too much about myself and tell it to the public too, I guess. Um, no, I joined the Army in 2003. I was 21 years old.
Yeah.
Shortly after the Iraq invasion,
Mhm.
I found myself in Iraq in 2006, and then again in 2008. I got out. Honestly, I did everything about as wrong as you could possibly do it. No, seriously, I started drinking. I started thinking that I could fix myself, and I thought that I could do it with alcohol, which
Yeah.
is the complete wrong answer.
Mhm.
And everything. I found myself in trouble with the law. I literally found myself. I hated the person who I became.
Mhm.
And actually, well, it was about 5 years ago. I had a little bit of a wake up call, and I had the opportunity to go to school. And I did. I walked into Red Rocks Community College without a clue of what I was going to do. The lady in the veterans office sat me down and said, "Well, what do you like?" And I said, "I love the outdoors." And she said, "Well, that's fantastic. We've got an outdoors program that's going to be awesome for you."
Yeah.
So I signed up for it that day. I started going to school. I was scared to death. I used to get D's and F's in school, and but it was the right time, and I actually thrived, and I did really amazing, and it totally turned my life around. And just like what we were talking about earlier, about the universe pushing you in a direction that um, whatever it may be, I had no clue that I was going into this.
Mhm.
Actually, I ended up in the business class uh, because a week before, all of my previous classes had canceled on me. So I was scrambling just to find something to go to, and I ended up in the business class. They made you make a fake small business, and the rest is, well, starting to become history.
Yeah, the history and the start of this beautiful chapter for you. And thank you for being vulnerable and opening up to people and sharing your story, because it does make a difference in what you're doing and how you apply yourself and how you're viewing the support that you're giving these veterans, because you've been in not only in their place, but you've seen the low that can transpire afterward, and you're trying to provide the way for them to get out of that or even avoid that to begin with. So I love that testament. And if more people did what they're so very passionate about, I think that in the long run, right, like you have to have such a strong passion and love for what you're doing. Otherwise you're going to run into obstacles and things that challenge and stand in your way. And if you don't have that natural strength to overcome that because of that passion, then it's easy for you to kind of be set back. So I love that part of it. So I do want to transition over to ways that people can engage with you all. So are you strictly an organization that is for veterans and their families, or are you finding that some people that are supportive of service members, for example, want to get involved, or others that have not served are just interested in the outdoor component? Like, how do you play into an audience that may not be specifically veterans that are coming out that might want to engage with you, or has that not been um, on your mind yet?
Well, the people that we serve are veterans and family members of veterans. The one thing that about family members is we really loosely word the word family, because as we all learned in our service, you don't have to be blood related to become family.
Mhm,
I have my brothers and sisters that I served with, and
mhm,
we didn't grow up together, but we are family. And so the way that it works, of course, all veterans of any branch of the service of any era are welcome, and their family is welcome as well. And that family may include a friend. The way that I kind of look at it is if you can call that friend up when you're having a bad day and they'll just sit on the other end and listen to you and just let you vent or whatever, then heck yeah, you can come on a trip with us. If you will support that veteran and be there for them and help them get to the right resources, then absolutely you are more than welcome to be labeled as family and come out on any trip with us.
Yeah.
Other ways people can support, you know, donations, honestly, donations. Every last penny that gets donated to the organization is going to veterans and these programs and being able to run and operate the organization. Yeah, that's
Yeah, and where are they, if they are providing donations, are they doing that on your website, or is it at particular, I mean, how are the ways that they can donate?
on our website, vetexpeditiontherapy.org.
Okay, perfect. So that's where they can go. And what I'm quickly doing is pulling your website for folks so that they can be able to find that link. And as I'm displaying it on here, this is the way, if you are interested in not only donating direct funds to support the organization, which has been around for almost a year and about 4 months, right? So just shy of that. But they've quickly been providing some support to our veterans and their families that are impacted. But as Deke was just sharing, if you are someone that's close to another person who has served and maybe see some of the challenges that they face, or maybe the place that they're currently in, and you feel like this can be an area of support for them, then you can bring them along. And so it's kind of the other way around, right? Like the family or friend is bringing the vet along with them to this because
Absolutely.
they know that it provides them value. And I think everyone has someone that they honestly know that has served, or whether it's a loved one that's super close in their household or someone that they work with, etc. But those are so, the outreach from that impact alone, I think, can be strong. And it's especially true when we all know what we know, but we just don't want to do it, right? Like it's kind of like when you know you should be eating healthy, and then you don't eat healthy, right? But if you have some encouragement and some accountability from someone, you're more willing to go on that journey with them and have that person push you to be a better version. So I kind of view it similar in that regard, that it's a commitment to being holistically better. And sometimes we know we need to be, we just don't do that, right? For whatever reason.
That's 1,000,000% right. And so we want to build a support system. We want to build a community. We just want to help in any way that we can. You know, we want to get veterans off the couch. We want to get them to quit self-isolating. We want them to be a productive member of society however they can.
Yeah.
But self-isolating, you know, drinking your sorrows away, you know, using substances to cope. I'll raise my hand like, hey, I did everything the wrong way. And we want to show veterans that, hey, there are healthy ways to do this. Like I always tell people, we're going to show you how to get high without putting a single in your body, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that is awesome, right? Like that's you're stopping them from kind of going down a path that you know is not going to be something that provides them with such a positive lifestyle. And I have a question that came to my mind as we were just talking right now on some of the outdoor activities and the team building that you're doing, because you shared the rock climbing, you've shared some of these outdoor adventures that you have. Are these directly, like, are they all here in Westminster in the metro area? Are you guys going all over the state of Colorado? And you can be someone who's living in Pueblo, but they come up here so that they can get involved with that. How does that work?
We're, you know, like being a small organization, just starting out, we're starting everything out right here in Denver. We have goals of moving up and down the Front Range and then out to the Western Slope as well, just to try to just do trips all over the place to try to bring as many veterans in as they can, because there may be a veteran in Pueblo who just can't attend an event in Denver, or one on the Western Slope, you know, vice versa. And so we're really just trying to really diversify where we're doing everything. Like our survival skills trip this Saturday is up near Lyons. So up in the, yeah, just north of Boulder there. And oh gosh, April, we've got a night of climbing and bouldering at G1 Climbing Gym in Broomfield. And then actually in June, we have a program that is specifically for partners of veterans,
Okay.
that's going to be held at La Foret Challenge Course down in Colorado Springs.
Oh, nice. What
Yeah.
is what does that look like? So when you say partners of veterans, what's an example of some of those people that you're hoping would be out at that June event?
So it's actually no veterans allowed because
Oh, okay.
because well, what I've personally found in doing everything the wrong way is us veterans, we can be the most stubborn creatures on earth and we can drive people crazy sometimes. And so what we really want to do is we want to give a day to spouses, partners, whoever it is that's in that veteran's life every day. And we're going to bring them out to a challenge course in La Foret, and we're going to start them out on the ground and really do a bunch of team building exercises, with Deb Kolskar.
Mhm.
And she's actually one of the instructors over at Red Rocks Community College in the outdoor program, and one of the most fantastic ladies I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
But start out on the ground and just do simple little team building challenges. We want other partners to, kind of the same thing with the veterans. We want other partners to know, number one, that they're loved and they're cared about, that there's resources out there for them. We want to introduce them to other spouses, partners that are going through the same thing. And, we just want to give them an outlet, introduce them to others, give them a place to just vent, scream, whatever it may be, and give them the tools necessary to move on, you
Yeah.
know?
Totally, that makes sense, and it's you shared it so well earlier. And as I'm talking over here, I'm just going to pull up a quick comment that we got and give a quick shout out to Sarah as well for tuning in with us. But you shared a great comment earlier, and that was, our family and our friends, or our family in particular, doesn't have to be blood, right? And in life, we go through so many things that you find a tribe with you wherever you go. Like I could think back on my own, like my health group of women that I've met through that, right? Like my sorority women. And it's just they're all different siblings that I have, and they're external. They're not in my home, but they can relate to me. And I think the relatability piece is such a huge part of being human and going through life, because others that are in that same boat, and you could talk to them and they understand exactly what you're talking about, right? It's not like you're saying something and they're downplaying it, because they really do see it from your perspective.
Absolutely.
I just thank you, Brian Head, our past chairman, for being on here. Brian is like spamming me with good morning messages and how awesome an organization Vet Expedition Therapy is. For those of you that are tuned in with us or are watching later on, we have Deke with us. Deke is the founder and executive director of his nonprofit that does serve veterans with PTSD and their families. And they focus significantly on outdoor recreation and all things to provide that healing and support that our veterans definitely need, especially after being out there for a while. He's been through it, over 10 years of service, and kind of came back and went through another spiral of things and was empowered to start this up. So Brian's question, and I've quickly displayed it on the screen to give us a second to be able to read it to you and see how you'd like to answer it. But he's asking, if someone has a veteran in their life who could benefit from this, what's the best way for them to bring it up with the vet? And then the best way for them to connect that veteran with their organization. And we kind of touched on this earlier, Deke, when we were talking about how sometimes it can be the opposite, right? Where the family or the friend is bringing the veteran. But one of the things that he's asking, which is actually a really great way of asking, is how do you bring it up with the person that you're trying to help, right? Like, how do you bring it up with a vet who is going through it?
You say, hey, you want to go snowmobiling? Like, this organization is offering a snowmobiling trip and it's free for us and our families. Do you want to go? that's really pretty much it. For veterans to find out like what we're doing, we have our Facebook and we have our Instagram pages and stuff like that. We have our website as well, and so all of our trips are on all three, which I think I need to get one posted on our website because we've got our. I didn't do that yet. That done as soon as we're off. But then when it comes to, so here's the deal: is we our name is Veterans Expedition Therapy, but we have to walk the fine line of we cannot provide actual like one-on-one or group therapy, but we can educate all day long, and so that's what we do on our trips. So when people come out with us, so I don't know if you've ever heard about the safety zone, the challenge zone, and the panic zone. And so the safety zone is, the everyday life that we live, where we're in control of everything, where we're really not trying anything new, or anything like that. But that's also where you're not growing. You're really just staying the person that you are.
Yeah.
We're trying to get people out into the challenge zone where they are getting up off the couch, where they are, driving to wherever we may be or whatever, and actually going out and participating in one of our events. What we're not doing is putting them in a panic zone. Like we're not just taking them up to a cliff and saying, all right, let's rappel off this without any kind of training or anything. And that, and that would automatically be putting somebody in the panic zone.
Yeah.
And so when we get our veterans out on trips, what we do is we try to put them in the challenge zone. And what we do as well is we relate that directly back to their healing as well. Like I can't sit somebody down and say, all right, now how does that make you feel? Because then I'm doing therapy at that very point. But what I can do is, when they get out and we're like, let's say we're doing rock climbing, just getting out in the first place is putting them in that challenge zone where they weren't before. And, okay, maybe they didn't rock climb today. Cool. Well, they still got out. All right. Well, next time, all right, they put a harness on and we got them roped up, and maybe they only climbed head height. All right. Well, fantastic. They're in that challenge zone a little bit more and they're pushing each day. And it goes right back to your healing. I think us Americans, we want everything to be, we want everything now. And yeah, exactly. We want everything quick. We want it now. And when it comes down to it, it doesn't work like that. It's that whole crawl, walk, run mentality. Nothing happens overnight. And and that goes right along with your healing as well. It's not just a one size fits all thing. It's not just you're going to flip a light switch and it's going to be fixed. It's one day at a time, and it's baby steps, and it's just pushing yourself a little bit farther each day. And that's what we're really just trying to help the veterans do.
Thank you so much for that answer, Deke, and for that question, Brian. I appreciate both of you, and I appreciate you for explaining the process behind how you can support someone. And I think it's not really masking things, but you are trying to show them that it's more than just their issue that they're facing, which can be a lot for them to try and take in. A couple of the ways that you said that people can find out about you, of course, are through your Facebook page, which we've included that in the comment section. We've also included the Instagram link for you in the comment section as well. So if any of you are interested in seeing some of those events and projects that are coming up, you can find out more details on the social media pages. Of course, earlier on, we asked Deke ways that people can support, of course, and outside of encouraging a veteran that you care for or love to get involved, you can also provide donations, and the details on that can be found on their website directly, vetexpeditiontherapy.org. This is a newer nonprofit, been around since just July of last year, which is so exciting to see, especially amidst the crazy environment that we're all in right now. To see something new and something that's so important and pressing to our community members is very much valued. One of the things that Deke said earlier was embrace the suck, and it was an acronym for their organization. And I went ahead and copy and pasted from your website. I hope you don't mind, but I posted that into the chat section because if someone was like, embrace the suck, and then they hopped off, if you come back, then you can see you the further details around that. But I do love that acronym, and I think it captures a lot of what you're trying to do to serve the population of veterans that have been impacted by PTSD and other issues that they're facing post service.
Absolutely. One other thing I wanted to say too is you can also donate on the Facebook and Instagram pages as well. We have donate buttons right on our pages. Please like and share our page. As a new nonprofit organization, we are trying to get out there however we can, and the more help is greatly appreciated.
Absolutely. Well, congrats on getting your nonprofit started. And for those of you that don't know, Deke also won the non-food vendor award at the Taste of Westminster this last fall because some of his work that he's doing, and he also had a nice furry companion and was sharing all the amazing resources that he has. So we do encourage you to find out more about them online. And Deke, believe it or not, we're way over the 30-minute mark. I told you this would fly by. I was not joking. Like it is, and I could keep you on here for a lot longer because I know you've got so much to share. But I do want to be respectful of your time and others that are tuned in. And just thank you so much for fitting us into your day and taking a risk into hopping into your nonprofit. I think you're making a big impact, and we are so very grateful that we are partnered with you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. The last thing I'll say is if you're a business and you want to sponsor us, sponsor one of our programs or anything like that, please reach out to me at deke@vetexpeditiontherapy.org. And, we would sure appreciate any kind of help in any way, shape, or form. But most of all, thank you so much for having me today. I truly appreciate you.
Of course. Thank you.